The night sky above the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico was unusually clear, the Milky Way stretching across the heavens like a river of starlight. Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat at her workstation, sipping cold coffee as she monitored the incoming data from the massive radio telescope. It was a routine night shift, or so she thought. At 2:37 a.m., an alert flashed on her screen. Elena blinked, certain she was hallucinating from too much caffeine. But the signal persisted, a clear, repetitive pattern that didn't match any known cosmic phenomenon. "Holy shit," she whispered, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "This can't be real." But it was. As she ran it through various filters and analysis programs, the truth became undeniable. This was no natural occurrence. The signal was artificial, its complexity suggesting an intelligence far beyond humanity's current capabilities. Within hours, observatories around the world confirmed the signal. Humanity held its collective breath as governments scrambled to respond. The United Nations convened an emergency session, and for the first time in history, the world truly united under a common purpose, making first contact. Dr. Rodriguez found herself at the center of a global effort to decode the message. For weeks, the brightest minds on Earth worked tirelessly, piecing together the alien language. When they finally cracked it, the message was simple yet profound. "We are the Concordiate. We come in peace." The world erupted in celebration. Humanity was not alone in the universe, and our cosmic neighbors seemed friendly. As Earth prepared its response, a sense of hope and wonder swept across the globe. But Elena couldn't shake a feeling of unease. Something about the message felt off, a subtle undertone that nagged at her subconscious. 3 months after the initial contact, the Concordia's ships entered the solar system. They were massive, sleek vessels that defied human understanding of physics. As they approached Earth, they broadcasted a new message. "We bring enlightenment. Prepare for integration." The tone had shifted, and Elena's fears were realized. The Concordiate wasn't here for friendly exchange. They saw Earth as a primitive world to be uplifted and absorbed into their galactic empire. World leaders attempted diplomacy, but the Concordiate's responses grew increasingly dismissive. They viewed humanity as children, incapable of making their own decisions on a cosmic scale. As tensions mounted, Elena worked feverishly with a team of linguists and cryptographers to decipher more of the Concordiate's transmissions. What they discovered chilled them to the bone. Earth wasn't the first world the Concordiate had enlightened. Dozens of civilizations had fallen under their rule, stripped of their autonomy and unique cultures. The Concordiate's peace was one of subjugation, not cooperation. Elena brought her findings to the UN Security Council. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity faced a choice: submit to the Concordiate's rule or resist, and potentially face annihilation. As the council debated, news of the Concordiate's true nature leaked to the public. Panic gripped some, but others felt a surge of defiance. Humanity had faced extinction before, from ice ages to plagues to our own nuclear weapons. Each time, we had adapted and survived. The Concordiate might have technology beyond our wildest dreams, but they had underestimated the human spirit. As their ships loomed ever closer, humanity prepared not for submission, but for the fight of our lives. Elena stared at the night sky, no longer seeing beauty in the stars, but a looming threat. Yet, as fear threatened to overwhelm her, she felt a spark of determination. If the Concordiate thought humanity would roll over without a fight, they were in for a rude awakening. The first contact humanity had dreamed of for centuries had arrived. But instead of a new age of cosmic brotherhood, it had brought the greatest challenge our species had ever faced. The next few weeks would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the very essence of what it meant to be human. As dawn broke over the Arecibo Observatory, Elena squared her shoulders. The real work was just beginning. The United Nations General Assembly Hall buzzed with tense energy as world leaders gathered for what might be humanity's most crucial meeting. Dr. Elena Rodriguez sat in the front row, her research team's findings weighing heavily on her mind. Secretary General Amina Corey took the podium, her usual composure strained. Distinguished delegates, we face an unprecedented crisis. The Concordiat has issued an ultimatum. A holographic display flickered to life, showing the alien message. To the leaders of Earth, your world stands at a crossroads. Embrace the Concordiat's guidance, and we shall elevate your species to greatness. Resist, and we will be forced to cleanse your planet for proper integration. You have 72 hours to surrender unconditionally. Choose wisely. The assembly erupted in chaos. Some nations advocated immediate surrender, arguing that resistance was futile against such advanced technology. Others called for defiance, unwilling to sacrifice humanity's freedom. Elena was called to speak, presenting her team's analysis of the Concordiat's history. Make no mistake, she concluded, their version of elevation means the erasure of everything that makes us human. We would exist only as a subservient part of their empire, our cultures and individuality stripped away. As debates rage, reports flooded in from around the globe. The Concordiat's ships had taken position around Earth, a net of technological superiority closing in. Military satellites were disabled with frightening ease, and global communications began to falter. In Washington, D.C., President Liana Chen met with her advisors. What are our options? She demanded. General Marcus Okafor, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, looked grim. Madame President, our most advanced weapons are like slingshots against their technology. A direct confrontation would be suicide. So we just give up. Chen's voice was steel. That's not an option. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the nation's foremost physicist, cleared his throat. Perhaps not direct confrontation, but we might have a chance with asymmetric warfare. We need time to analyze their tech, find weaknesses. Time we don't have, Chen muttered, but nodded for him to continue. As similar conversations played out in capitals worldwide, humanity's response began to take shape. No single nation could stand against the Concordiat, but perhaps a united Earth could find a way. With hours ticking away, a plan emerged. Earth would present a facade of compliance while secretly preparing for resistance. Key military and scientific personnel went underground, hidden bunkers around the world transforming into command centers for the coming struggle. Elena found herself boarding a hypersonic jet, bound for a classified location. Her expertise in Concordiat communications would be crucial in the days ahead. As the deadline approached, Secretary General Corey addressed the Concordiat. Her words were carefully chosen, neither accepting nor rejecting their ultimatum outright. We require more time to prepare our world for integration, she stated diplomatically. Surely an enlightened civilization, such as yours, understands the complexities of unifying a diverse planet. The Concordiat's response was cold. You have 24 more hours. Then we begin the integration process, with or without your cooperation. Around the world, humanity held its breath. In hidden bunkers and secret facilities, frantic preparations continued. Scientists worked to reverse engineer any alien technology they could get their hands on, while military strategists developed guerrilla tactics for a war unlike any in human history. Elena sat in a reinforced underground lab, surrounded by the best minds Earth had to offer. As they worked to decrypt more of the Concordiat's transmissions, she couldn't help but feel a mix of terror and exhilaration. Humanity stood on the brink, outmatched and outnumbered. Yet there was a fire in the eyes of every person she saw, a determination that defied their impossible odds. As the final hours of the ultimatum ticked away, Elena received a priority message, a glimmer of hope in the darkness. They had found something in the Concordiat's transmissions, a potential weakness to exploit. With renewed purpose, Elena hurried to inform the Global Command. The next 24 hours would determine the fate of humanity. Win or lose, Earth would show the Concordiat that humans don't go down without a fight. The ultimatum's clock hit zero. Earth's moment of truth had arrived. As the Concordiat's deadline expired, an eerie calm settled over the planet. The alien ships loomed in low Earth orbit, their presence a constant reminder of the sword hanging over humanity's head. But beneath the surface, a storm of activity raged. In a repurposed missile silo deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood before a sea of screens, each displaying data from a different part of Earth's hastily assembled resistance network. Military personnel mingled with scientists, hackers worked alongside diplomats. The boundaries that had long divided humanity were crumbling in the face of extinction. "What's our status?" General Okafor's voice cut through the hum of activity. Elena took a deep breath. "We've made progress decrypting more of their transmissions. It seems the Concordiate ships use a quantum entanglement system for faster-than-light communication. If we can disrupt it, we can throw them into chaos." Okafor finished, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. But before they could elaborate, alarms blared. On the main screen, a Concordiate ship descended towards New York City. "They're starting," Elena whispered. The ship stopped its descent a kilometer above the city. A shimmering field enveloped Manhattan, cutting it off from the rest of the world. Similar reports flooded in from other major cities globally: London, Tokyo, Moscow, all isolated by alien technology. "This is their idea of integration," Okafor growled. "Divide and conquer." As panic threatened to overtake the population, an unexpected voice of calm emerged. Zain al-Rashid, a teenage climate activist from Bangladesh, somehow managed to broadcast a message that pierced through the Concordiate's communication blackout. "People of Earth," Zain's voice rang out, "we are not alone, and we are not helpless. In every city, every village, we stand together. The Concordiate thinks they can break us by isolating us. But they don't understand. Earth has never been more united." His words sparked a global movement. In occupied cities, citizens organized underground resistance networks. In free zones, people mobilized to support the enclave populations. The Concordiate had expected submission. Instead, they faced a planet-wide insurgency. Elena and her team worked tirelessly, using Zain's unexpected broadcast as a key to further crack the Concordiate's communication protocols. They discovered that the alien technology, while advanced, wasn't infallible. The quantum entanglement system had vulnerabilities, especially when dealing with the chaotic nature of Earth's internet. In Silicon Valley, a coalition of tech companies led by Dr. Aisha Patel developed a virus that could infiltrate the Concordiate systems. "It's not just a virus," Aisha explained in a secure video conference. "It's an AI, designed to evolve and adapt to their defenses. We call it Prometheus." Meanwhile, in a hidden lab beneath the Sahara, Dr. Yuki Tanaka made a breakthrough in reverse engineering Concordiate technology. "Their energy weapons rely on exotic matter," he reported excitedly. "If we can synthesize it, we might be able to develop our own defenses." As humanity's brightest minds raced against time, ordinary people found extraordinary courage. In occupied New York, a group of Broadway performers organized flash mobs that disrupted Concordiate patrols. In Tokyo, elderly technicians emerged from retirement to help rewire the city's infrastructure, creating hidden networks right under the aliens' noses. The Concordiate, faced with unexpectedly fierce resistance, began to show signs of frustration. Their methodical approach to planetary integration was being challenged by human unpredictability and resourcefulness. Elena, coordinating efforts from the underground command center, felt a surge of pride. Humanity was bruised but unbroken. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but for the first time since the Concordiate arrived, she dared to hope. As another day dawned, news arrived that made the command center erupt in cheers. In occupied Paris, resistance fighters had managed to bring down a Concordiate scout ship. The wreckage was already being smuggled out of the city through ancient catacombs, bound for secret labs where it would be studied and, hopefully, weaponized. The Concordiate had made a critical error. They had judged humanity by its technology, not its spirit. As Elena looked at the determined faces around her, She realized that the aliens had inadvertently done what centuries of human history could not. They had united Earth against a common threat. The real battle was just beginning, but humanity had found its strength. United, Earth prepared to show the Concordia that some worlds refused to be conquered. The Concordia's patience had run out. 3 weeks after their initial landings, they launched a full-scale assault on Earth's remaining free zones. The dawn sky blazed with the light of their energy weapons as massive ships descended through the atmosphere. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, alarms blared. Dr. Elena Rodriguez sprinted to the main control room, her heart pounding. The central screen showed a real-time map of the invasion. Red dots representing Concordia forces spread across the globe like a virus. "This is it," General Okafor announced, his voice steady despite the chaos. "All units, initiate Operation Thunderbolt." Across the planet, humanity's carefully laid plans sprang into action. In orbit, dormant satellites suddenly came to life, unleashing a barrage of electromagnetic pulses on the unsuspecting Concordia fleet. The alien shields flickered, creating momentary gaps in their defenses. Earth seized its chance. From hidden silos and submarine launch platforms, a wave of missiles streaked skyward. These weren't conventional warheads, but delivery systems for Dr. Tanaka's reverse-engineered exotic matter bombs. The Concordia, caught off guard by the sophistication of Earth's attack, suffered their first major losses. Several of their smaller ships, their shields disrupted by the EMP and struck by the exotic matter weapons, plummeted from the sky. Elena watched in awe as the impossible happened. Humanity was fighting back and winning. But she knew better than to celebrate too soon. This was just the opening salvo in what would be a long and brutal conflict. On the ground, the battle raged with equal intensity. Concordia ground forces, expecting an easy conquest, found themselves mired in urban warfare unlike anything they had encountered before. Every city was a fortress, every citizen a potential resistance fighter. In the ruins of downtown Los Angeles, a team of hackers led by a former game developer used reprogrammed drones to harass and confuse Concordia troops. Their machines, guided by adaptive AI, proved frustratingly elusive to the aliens' targeting systems. Across the Atlantic, the streets of London became a maze of traps and ambushes. The resistance, organized by a coalition of street artists and civil engineers, had turned the city's iconic landmarks into weapons. Big Ben's clock tower concealed a powerful jamming device, disrupting Concordia communications across the city. But the Concordia was far from defeated. As the initial shock of Earth's resistance wore off, they began to adapt. Their supreme commander, an entity known only as the Overseer, deployed more advanced units. Shape-shifting nanite swarms swept through cities, while gigantic walker mechs stomped across rural areas, impervious to conventional weapons. In the Rocky Mountain base, Elena and her team worked feverishly to stay one step ahead. The Prometheus Eye, now fully deployed across Earth's remaining networks, engaged in a digital war against Concordia systems. It was a battle of silicon versus alien quantum computing, with the fate of cities often hanging in the balance of who could control traffic lights or power grids. "We've got a problem," Dr. Patel's voice crackled over the comm. "The Concordia is trying to access our nuclear launch facilities. Prometheus is holding them off, but barely." Elena's blood ran cold. If the Concordia gained control of Earth's nuclear arsenals, it would be game over. "Divert all available processing power to Prometheus," she ordered. "We can't let them break through." As the digital battle intensified, a new threat emerged. Concordia ships began targeting Earth's major fault lines with powerful seismic weapons. Earthquakes rocked cities around the Pacific Rim, adding natural disasters to the chaos of war. Yet even as the situation grew dire, humanity's resolve strengthened. In the ruins of Tokyo, survivors banded together to create an early warning system for the alien-induced quakes. In San Francisco, A team of geologists and demolitions experts developed a technique to counter the seismic attacks using precisely timed explosions to nullify the shockwaves. 7 days into the assault, both sides had suffered heavy losses. The Concordia's aura of invincibility was shattered, but Earth's major population centers lay in ruins. Millions were dead or displaced, and resources were stretched to the breaking point. In the command center, Elena looked at the haggard faces around her. They had survived the first wave, but at a terrible cost. The real test was yet to come. As reports of Concordia reinforcements trickled in, she knew that humanity's fight for survival was far from over. The first battle had been fought to a bloody stalemate. Now, both Earth and the Concordia prepared for a war of attrition that would determine the fate of the planet. 3 months into the war, Earth was a patchwork of devastation and defiance. The Concordia controlled the skies and most major cities, but their hold on the planet was far from secure. Humanity, outgunned but not outfought, had embraced a strategy as old as warfare itself. Guerrilla resistance. Dr. Elena Rodriguez crouched in the underbrush, her lab coat long since exchanged for camouflage fatigues. Beside her, a motley crew of scientists, soldiers, and civilian volunteers waited in tense silence. Their target, a Concordiate supply convoy moving through the Amazon rainforest. "Remember," Elena whispered, "we need those power cells intact. They're the key to cracking their energy weapons." A low hum filled the air as the alien vehicles approached, floating above the forest floor. Elena raised her hand, then dropped it sharply. The jungle erupted in chaos. Vines, seemingly normal moments before, came to life, wrapping around the Concordia transports. Dr. Tanaka's latest creation, programmable, rapid-growth vegetation, immobilized the convoy in seconds. Before the aliens could react, EMP charges detonated, shorting out their systems. The raid was over in minutes. As her team secured the valuable power cells, Elena allowed herself a moment of grim satisfaction. Small victories like this were keeping humanity in the fight. Back at the hidden base, carved into the side of a mountain, General Okafor reviewed the global situation. Holographic maps showed pockets of resistance across every continent. "The Andes Defense League has pushed the Concordia out of Chile," he reported. "And our cells in the Sahara have their desert patrols in disarray." But the news wasn't all good. They've established a stronghold in the Siberian tundra. Whatever they're building there, it's big. Dr. Aisha Patel, her eyes red from endless hours staring at screens, looked up from her workstation. Prometheus has intercepted some transmissions about the Siberian project. They call it the Harmony Engine. We're still decrypting the details, but it sounds bad. Elena frowned. "We need more intel. Is the Spectre team in position?" Okafor nodded. "They're ready to infiltrate on your command." The Spectre team was humanity's ace in the hole. Led by Zain al-Rashid, the young activist turned resistance icon, they specialized in high-risk, deep-cover operations. Using a combination of advanced holograms and Dr. Tanaka's metamaterials, they could pass as Concordia troops for short periods. "Give them the green light," Elena decided. "We need to know what we're up against." As Spectres prepared for their most dangerous mission yet, resistance cells worldwide continued their relentless campaign. In occupied New York, the Broadway troupe that had once organized flash mobs now staged elaborate distractions, allowing raiding parties to strike Concordia holdings. Beneath the streets of Paris, the catacombs had become a labyrinthine headquarters for the European resistance. Art students worked alongside engineers, creating propaganda that kept hope alive and developing weapons that kept the aliens off balance. But the Concordia was learning, adapting to humanity's unconventional tactics. Their nanite swarms grew more sophisticated, able to detect and dismantle human stealth tech. Shape-shifting infiltrators sowed distrust among resistance groups, forcing Elena and her team to develop ever more elaborate verification protocols. The war had become a grueling test of innovation and will. For every human breakthrough, the Concordia had a countermeasure. For every alien advance, humanity found a way to exploit its weaknesses. In orbit, the battle was equally fierce. Concordia ships maintained their stranglehold on Earth's space access, but a daring plan was taking shape. Under the cover of a massive ground offensive in the Himalayas, a secret launch facility in the Andes prepared to fire. Helios launch in T-minus 60 seconds. A voice crackled over the command center speakers. Alina held her breath as the countdown reached 0. A brilliant streak of light burst from the Andes, climbing rapidly towards space. The Concordia fleet, caught off guard, scrambled to intercept. "They've taken the bait," Okafor grinned. Launching Phase 2. Across the globe, hidden silos opened. Dozens of smaller rockets blazed skyward, each carrying a payload of Prometheus-guided hunter-killer satellites. As the Concordia focused on the Helios decoy, Earth's true counterstrike slipped through their defenses. For the first time since the war began, humanity had re-established a presence in orbit. It wasn't much, a fragile network of stealthed platforms, but it was a foothold, a chance to take the fight to the enemy. As the command center erupted in cheers, Alina allowed herself a small smile. They were still outgunned, still facing near impossible odds. But with each passing day, each small victory, the gap was closing. The Concordia had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves mired in a war unlike any they had faced before. And humanity, united as never before, was just getting started. 6 months into the war, Earth teetered on a knife's edge. The Concordia's grip had loosened, but humanity's resources were stretched to the breaking point. In hidden bases around the world, scientists and strategists knew they needed a game-changer. That game-changer arrived on a stormy night in the ruins of Tokyo. Zain al-Rashid's Spectre team, battered but triumphant, returned from their mission to the Siberian Harmony engine. Dr. Elena Rodriguez rushed to meet them as they emerged from their stealth transport. "What did you find?" she asked, her voice urgent. Zain, his young face lined with new scars, handed her a data crystal. "Everything," he said simply. "And you're not going to believe it." Hours later, in the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Elena stood before the assembled leaders of Earth's resistance. The holographic displays showed schematics that seemed to defy the laws of physics as humanity understood them. "The Harmony engine isn't a weapon," Elena explained, her voice filled with a mix of awe and dread. "It's a reality manipulator. The Concordia isn't just trying to conquer Earth. They're trying to rewrite our very existence." The room erupted in shocked murmurs. General Okafor leaned forward, his eyes narrow. "Explain." Dr. Tanaka stepped up, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "The engine operates on a quantum level we've only theorized about. It can alter probability fields, changing the fundamental nature of matter and energy within its range. If they activate it," Elena continued, "they could literally change the course of Earth's history, make it so we never evolved, or turn us into willing servants. Our entire struggle would be erased in an instant." The weight of this revelation settled heavily on the room. The Concordia's ultimate plan was more terrifying than anyone had imagined. But with understanding came opportunity. Dr. Aisha Patel, who had been quietly analyzing the data, suddenly straightened. "Wait," she said, her eyes lighting up. "If we can't destroy the engine, we can use it," Elena finished, catching on to Aisha's train of thought. The next weeks were a frenzy of activity. While the global resistance redoubled its efforts to keep the Concordia off balance, Elena and her team worked tirelessly to understand the Harmony engine's principles. Prometheus, the AI that had been humanity's digital guardian, was pushed to its limits, running simulations and cracking Concordia encryption at unprecedented speeds. Dr. Tanaka's team synthesized new materials that could channel the engine's reality-warping energies. But time was running out. Concordia chatter, intercepted by resistance cells, indicated that the Harmony engine was nearing completion. Earth had one shot at turning the aliens' doomsday device against them. The plan that emerged was audacious to the point of insanity. A joint strike force, combining the best of humanity's military and scientific minds, would assault the Siberian facility. While the main force engaged the Concordiat defenses, an elite team led by Zane would infiltrate the engine chamber. The goal isn't to destroy it, Alina briefed the team. We need to reprogram it, change its quantum frequency to match our calculations. If we succeed, we can create a cascading effect that will ripple through the Concordiat's entire fleet. The night before the mission, Alina found herself standing on a cliff overlooking the resistance base. The weight of tomorrow's operation pressed heavily on her shoulders. "Penny for your thoughts." General Okafor's voice came from behind her. Alina turned, offering a weary smile. "Just wondering if we're doing the right thing. If we fail, we're no worse off than if we do nothing," Okafor said firmly. "But if we succeed, we change everything." As dawn broke, the assault force moved out. Across the globe, every resistance cell launched simultaneous attacks, drawing Concordiat attention away from Siberia. Alina, coordinating from a mobile command center, watched as the battle unfolded. The price was steep. Thousands of brave souls sacrificing themselves to give Zane's team a chance. But step by bloody step, they advanced. In the final push, as Zane's team breached the engine chamber, Alina held her breath. Everything hinged on the next few moments. "We're in position," Zane's voice crackled over the comm. "Initiating the sequence. Now." A blinding light erupted from the Siberian facility, spreading outward in a wave that engulfed the planet. For a heart-stopping moment, Alina feared they had failed, that reality itself was unraveling. Then, as the light faded, she saw it. Concordiat ships, once invulnerable, began to flicker and distort. The aliens' technology, dependent on the quantum frequencies they had dominated, was turning against them. A cheer went up in the command center. Against all odds, humanity had seized control of the Harmony engine. The tide of war had finally, irreversibly turned. But even as hope soared, Alina knew the hardest fight was yet to come. The Concordiat, their advantage lost, would not go quietly. The final battle for Earth's future loomed on the horizon. The reprogrammed Harmony engine had changed the rules of engagement, but the Concordiat was far from defeated. As reality itself seemed to warp and shift, the final battle for Earth began in earnest. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in the heart of the Global Command Center, now relocated to the reclaimed ruins of Geneva. Holographic displays showed the chaotic confrontations erupting across the planet and in orbit. "Concordiat forces are in disarray," General Okafor reported, his voice tight with controlled excitement. "Their ships are failing, troops are cut off from command, but they're regrouping, adapting faster than we anticipated." Elena nodded grimly. "They've dominated the galaxy for millennia. They won't go down without a fight." The Overseer, supreme commander of the Concordiat forces, unleashed its final gambit. The remaining alien ships began to position themselves in a complex geometric pattern around the Earth. Dr. Tanaka's eyes widened as he analyzed the data. "They're trying to create a massive quantum field to counteract the Harmony engine's effects." "Can they do that?" Elena asked, her heart racing. "Theoretically, yes," Aisha chimed in, her fingers flying over her console. "But it would take immense energy. They'd have to." She trailed off, her face paling. Elena understood immediately. They're going to sacrifice their own ships, aren't they? Use the energy of their destruction to power this field. Across the Earth, humanity watched in awe and terror as the sky lit up with the self-immolation of the Concordiat fleet. The Overseer was willing to destroy everything to maintain control. In that moment, Elena made a decision. "Prepare the Prometheus Protocol," she ordered. Okafor looked at her sharply. "Are you sure? Once we start, there's no going back." Elena nodded, her resolve firm. "It's time to end this once and for all." The Prometheus Protocol was humanity's ultimate weapon, the culmination of everything they had learned from Concordiat technology. It would link every human mind on the planet into a vast, temporary network, creating a collective consciousness to rival the Overseer's vast intellect. As the alien quantum field began to stabilize, threatening to undo all of humanity's gains, Alina gave the signal. Across the globe, in hidden bunkers and ruined cities, millions of volunteers connected to the network. Alina closed her eyes as the rush of minds flooded her consciousness. She was herself, but also everyone. Scientists, soldiers, children, elders, all of humanity united in a singular purpose. The unified human consciousness reached out, interfacing directly with the Harmony engine. Reality itself seemed to hold its breath as two vast intelligences grappled for control of existence. In orbit, the remnants of the Concordiate fleet shuddered as conflicting realities battled for dominance. On the ground, ancient ruins rose and fell, history rewriting itself moment by moment. At the heart of it all stood Alina, her mind the focal point of humanity's will. Through her, the collected knowledge and determination of an entire species flowed. The Overseer, for the first time in its long existence, felt something akin to fear. It had encountered resistance before, but never anything like this. Humanity's chaotic individual nature, which the Concordiate had seen as a weakness, became their greatest strength. Billions of minds, each contributing unique perspectives and solutions, overwhelmed the Overseer's singular vision. In a final, desperate attempt, the Overseer tried to rewrite the very laws of physics, to make human resistance a mathematical impossibility. But for every change it made, humanity adapted, their collective creativity outpacing even the advanced alien intelligence. With a sound that could have been a scream or a sigh, the Overseer's presence vanished from Earth. The remaining Concordiate forces, cut off from their leader, fell into confusion. As the dust settled and the glow of the Harmony engine faded, Alina opened her eyes. The command center was silent, everyone holding their breath. "Did we?" Okafor began. Alina nodded, a tired smile spreading across her face. "We did it. Earth is free." Cheers erupted, not just in the command center, but across the planet. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. In the days that followed, the full extent of their victory became clear. The Concordiate's grip on the galaxy had been broken. Signals came in from distant stars, other worlds, inspired by Earth's resistance, rising up against their oppressors. As Alina stood on the steps of the rebuilt United Nations headquarters, she addressed not just humanity, but the galaxy. "We have won our freedom, but our journey is just beginning. We will rebuild, we will heal, and then we will reach for the stars, not as conquerors, but as explorers and friends." The dawn of a new era had arrived. Humanity, tested by fire, stood ready to take its place among the stars.